Hey, what's up, guys? It's SGC Revelation. This is going to be episode 2 of Madden 17 Chalk Talk. The beautiful thing is we already have episode 3 filmed. We have just got to get over to it at this point and get it all edited together. In the next 2 episodes, you're going to really just see a lot of my offense and defense. I'm going to talk about a lot of things I do. Defensively, I like to stay in the cover 2. Family, I like to be cover 2, 4, 6, 9. I'll run 3 cover 2 man on occasion. Not a ton, because both the corners on this team, I got Vernon Hargraves in like 2020, and then the other guy's a drafty. They're both like 90, 91 speed. My other safeties are the same, 90, 91. After my first 2 corners, we're looking at like 88 to 86. So I can't run a lot of man, and I have to kind of rely on just kind of, having that same generic look and confusing people. One thing I did boost on the guys is their block shed, and you can see that in the first 2 plays. One thing I wanted to point out here, though, and you just saw on the screen, is you shouldn't always start guessing on a guy's tendencies. I told my defense to play underneath. This next play here, I'm going to tell them to play over top. I probably on this last one should have told him to play outside, or I probably should have gotten in a wider defense, like a 3-2-6 or a dime, and I probably could have had some success there. Sometimes you just want to be generic. On the contrary of that, these next 2 plays, I'm going to call underneath, I believe, on both of them from cover 2. And a lot of people knock me for running cover 2 a lot, but honestly, you got to play with your personnel, and you have to work towards those schemes. You'll see it kind of pay off here on both these next 2 plays. I think most people would notice I was playing with my user left in, and you'll definitely see it here now that he hurries up. I knew coming into the game he really liked to use his halfback a lot, so I'm going to kind of spy him a lot, especially early in the game, because I hate giving up a big halfback screen early, especially for 7. I'm going to flip over to offense, and I have a great offensive line. I'll try to get some pictures of them. Madden's run blocking kind of makes me iffy, but I'm learning to work within it. You can see I have a lot of audibles, and honestly, if I cut right there, if I cut just a little right with my backup, Derrick Henry's currently out, probably getting an 80-something yard touchdown. The next thing you're going to go, and this is, see here, and this is really one of the reasons why I have a lot of good halfbacks. I love split offset, especially this motion. I love to mess with people. And franchise, I'll honestly work the free agents every year. I had Devontae Freeman last year. Granted, again, it was 2019. But anytime I can run those 2 backs, I feel like I can really get people guessing. On this play, I switch it to the cross screen, which is kind of in that same family. Watch the free safety on the left side, Chase. He actually crosses the hash, which just makes this play even, get that little extra yard, that little thump that you want, especially on your first drive. You want to get confident, and that's kind of why I work with this scheme. Patriots drag is the same family. I'm going to run a lot of underneath stuff with the, the motion and the halfback. Get my quarterback confident, get me confident, take some time and read what the guy wants to do. I feel like that'll always help you. Again, I feel like he's playing over the top, and we'll go to the cell concept that I've altered slightly. It's one of my favorites, because if anyone's playing over the top, you ought to have that halfback, maybe a slant if they don't use it, maybe even something downfield. 3rd and 12, I want to run this wide receiver corner. You'll see it a lot in this episode and even the next one. My gut says go back to the run so I can maybe get 3 here. I luckily don't hit sprint, and I rip this run, and it's just beautiful. He makes a mistake or 2 to make it happen, but that's some good stuff. That's what I want to see against those quarter defenses. Come back at him here with zone halfback screen. It's one of my favorites because of the motion. Since I feel the blitz, and I probably could have lobbed it and got it, I threw it to Mike. I kind of threw it bad and got a kind of a cool animation, I guess, in its own way there. Again, you'll notice the halfback to the flat, tight end back to the middle. It's just kind of one of my favorite things, especially against these guys who are not going to get out of cover 2 and 4 like myself. Since he's using with the DL like I do some, that's usually going to let your tight end work really hard, especially in man coverage. But that cover 2 family definitely can be ate up. It's just a lot of, bend but don't break mentality. I worked inside run for the week, and you'll see it come to use right here. I run right at his user, have a nice agile back there that's replacing Derrick Henry for the moment, and he gets a nice cut. You'll get some Derrick Henry action in the next episode. I do want to talk about my PA scheme. Usually I hit the power button early now in the blue, especially on extra points, just so I can kind of gauge the connection of the game. Even in a great game, sometimes it'll flux, but I feel like if I do that, I seem to be hitting them a whole lot more consistently now. And you're going to see a lot of my cover 2, cover 4 scheme. This time it's actually going to be cover 9. It's kind of in the same family in my opinion, but you're getting a little bit extra deeper coverage. I think I'll call it underneath here, just because it's still first down, and it pays off for me. I get a little bit of pressure, and Quan Alexander later in his life, still about 90, 92 overall, still doing his thing. I come out and kind of had a vanilla offense, so I led just 3 points. We got him back on the field here in that same formation. You'll see this is one of the few times in both episodes I'm going to run cover 3, and you see why. Had he went to the other side, he had a +3 speed advantage, and I think he burns me there. Normally, I try to switch on and get the user bonus and defend that with SWAT, but that time I kind of felt nervous, and I wasn't even sure if switch assist is on. I'm ashamed to admit I do use that, but hey, man, you got to use what's there, use what's available. Again, playing with the user DM, man, against the run, it's just such a smart thing. You get a bonus. Especially against these heavy sets, you just want to protect the outside. Some people are obsessed with it, and he seems to be this game. Coming at me with another play action, and because we're in a good base defense, hurrying up to 3rd and 4 really didn't help him. Somehow, in an argument with the guy, lost that next touchdown. It was a PA swing for 6, and kind of chatting back and forth, I forgot to record it. We'll move on getting back to defense, though, and I put this in here because this is a no-no, and I'll tell you why it's a no-no. This guy killed himself. He could have had the inches probably on 2nd, 3rd, or 4th had he took the time to get back in the huddle. Their stamina goes down. He was hitting sprint out of aggravation. You could see my guys kind of instant shed on that last play, and then we just kind of make a play here. I've got my guys' zone and reaction, awareness kind of boosted really high, and it pays off there. I'm surprised he did go for the punt, though.
And they'll try the ground game here with the running back. Trying to find a lane, but instead he'll get back to the line of scrimmage and no more.
And coming back with the infamous Patriots drag, I know a lot of people, like I've said multiple times, really knock me for running the same plays, but until I throw every route on the route tree, or I feel like I've confused you enough with it, I'm not going to go away from it. That time I go to Safarian, which he wasn't used to. He was out of position to try to get back to it. I would like to think I got some LB on that ball, but I can't promise you. I think I just kind of let him. We had a failed orbit screen, and so that play will work a lot, but I think he hit me with some underneath coverage there, so they come upfield, and it just kind of bottomed out. I don't run this play a ton, but it's just something different, and especially if you've been running a tight end on streaks or post, and you ain't been messing with the corner too much, this is really beneficial to use. I kind of just wanted to go right at his user too. I let my ego get the best of me, and it cost me on some plays later in the game. But at that point, dude, you guys know how franchises go. We were mouthing back and forth at each other, and I had a point to prove. This PA play I actually love. I didn't quite run it very successfully. I feel like I should keep rolling with Jameis here, or let his feet set at least, and probably hit strong on a cross, or maybe even Mike. Mike's who I throw at, just because I was hoping he would be open. But if I take some time and maybe lead Jalen downfield, that's 6. Come out with one of my favorites from last year, still good this year, is Eagle Flood. Throwing that Y route to your tight end, or you can even sub a slot wide receiver in, is beautiful, especially when you got a guy who keeps playing over top like it seems like this guy's doing to me. It's just one of the best ways to combat that and mess with somebody.
For a key first down. A really nice job of adjusting to the ball in the air. Not the most accurate of throws, but able to adjust and make the grab.
Again, we get him flying out of the box, but this time I saw I had the big release advantage, +33, and since I hadn't even covered 1, we hit him over the top there. I put this play in there for a couple reasons. One, it's funny that I made it work. 2, it shows that sometimes you get very blind when you're trying to force something. You see Safarian go wide open here, and I was focused on throwing the halfback just because the guy was complaining about it at this point, which is very stupid and arrogant on my part. Anyone who's going to win a Super Bowl in a franchise or is going to win big money in one of these tournaments knows to stay balanced and not let your emotions get the best of you. As a former competitive player, I've rode on emotion before, and it's a good thing, but when you don't have that lead and that swagger anymore, sometimes it's kind of hard to ride on it. It's better just to be a very calm, methodical, player who analyzes every play and plays every play like it's the Super Bowl. That's the guys who are really successful at this game in the long run. You can't play on emotion because especially on this game this year, there's just too many wild breaks that's gonna happen. And coming at him with that, I believe that's my 4-2-6 cover 2 invert. My favorite scheme. I'll take a lot of those blue routes and turn them into perps at some point to kind of cover the corners and out routes. And you'll see that a lot more in episode 3. If you don't pass commit, it's still pretty good against the run, especially if you get really wide. I've got this guy really frustrated at this point. I'm going to back him up and probably tell him to run commit. There you go. You see him switch to purple. I actually think I go to a cover 3. He can't beat me one-on-one. When you're in someone's head like that, it's over at this point, man. They're frustrated. It's over. It's a wrap. They're going to do things like that again, like hurry up on 3rd and 12. It just doesn't make sense.
All afternoon didn't get a whole lot better there. On 3rd down, Winston.
Again, just kind of waiting and baiting there. He didn't really have a whole lot of pressure.
An offense coordinator take a big shot downfield because he feels like he can come
get back on defense. Again, like I said, I hate that I'm almost so methodical with it, but I stay in that cover 2 so often. Playing with that defensive end is always going to be a good thing. If you can be leaning towards the guy and hitting A, you're going to get worked. You're going to get something that works. We can slip to a 0 blitz here, and you always want to make sure it's aligned. I fake like I'm going to cover the halfback. Even though the play breaks, I still leave it in there because I think if I don't delay, I just wanted you guys to see it can be very efficient. And it also will set you up to do other things. I'm going to come back to it here in a play or two. Maybe even this one, I'm not really sure. Or the next one. I was in a 3-2-6 there, I think, and I wasn't a big fan on that one, but I do come back to man here at some point.
2nd down following the run.
I do like to spread out and kind of match a man. Usually tell him to play underneath or inside depending on what the guy's doing. I think I do so here. And we get one of those just odd little tips where it tips to my linebacker. But, hey, I'll take him, bro, because other people get them on me all the time. In the last 30-40 seconds here, I would just like to say thank you to all the EA guys who interact with us on Twitter. Y'all are amazing. Thank you all for your interaction, because I know you take what we say and you work, to make the game better. I also like to give a shout out to my daily league. We've been playing this stuff online since probably about 2007 together, back in the NCAA days. We are the Madden Institute. You can check us out at themaddeninstitute.com. You can also check us out at daddyleagues.com/TMI. TMI like the Madden Institute. I hope you've enjoyed what we've done here, what I've showed you. Hope you guys are ready for episode 3. And it's almost time to be looking at some, playoff football in the NFL.